So people are always asking me, Cassindy, how does matchmaking work? So I thought, this might not be a bad idea just to kind of share a little bit behind the scenes, kind of see behind. So I'll do it in three sections. So first, I'll talk about niche and approach. Secondly, I'll talk about how the business works, the business mechanics. That's actually pretty important. And three, I'll talk about the matchmaker industry itself. Okay. So let's start with one. So one is hook and niche, right? So, every matchmaker, we kind of have to have a niche, right? You can't just serve everything to everybody. It just doesn't work because matchmaking is very personal, right? So my own niche is, former Goldman Sachs, former JP Morgan banker, tech startup, right? Happily married mom of three, right? Who better than to evaluate a good relationship, stuff like that, right? So that's just kind of my niche, right? And I'm also obviously very personal. I'm very supportive. My community is important to me. So that's kind of my hook and niche, right? Okay. Secondly, let's talk about the business dynamics. The business dynamics are hard. It took me about three years to really build up my database originally, right? So I have, I think, one of the best databases in the industry, but that took a lot of events, a lot of podcasts, a lot of, articles, news, all this kind of stuff. It took a lot of building, right? I also ran a lot of events, right? So and I also have certain industry partnerships. So, that's kind of the business behind it. You have to have a good CRM system. You have to have a team, right? I don't think, a lot of matchmakers start off as solopreneurs, but to really be good at what you do and be, in my view, I want to be the best Asian matchmaker, right? In my niche, or best professional matchmaker, you really have to have your foundation, right? And I do have a pretty strong foundation, but it also took years. I mean, it was probably 3 years to get it built, but probably, 8 years of side hustling, right? Just to kind of test it out, see how it works. It just takes time, right? And then the third part is what's the matchmaker industry. So we actually have a guild. There is a guild. There are two guilds. There's the Global Love Institute. There's Matchmakers Alliance. They have annual conferences. Yes, there actually is two conferences each year that we all go to, or a lot of us go to. There's a lot of masterminds, lots of training involved. Also, matchmakers, we kind of know each other. We know different reputations, right? And so on that part, I also do referrals, right? There's certain matchmakers that I really like. Let's just say you have the Jewish matchmakers, the Jewish matchmakers, Asian matchmakers, but I have certain matchmakers that I think are really good. And, that's also, because kind of from working together what their ethics are, what their style is. Do they only work with women? Do they only work with men? A lot of matchmakers don't work with women, right? For example, right? And some do, some don't, right? And we all have niches and we all have a reputation. So yeah, there's a lot of collaboration, but yeah, so that kind of gives you a quick overview. I mean, there's so much more to the business. If you ever want to chat, I'd love to chat with you. It's just just kind of like a public service announcement because people are always asking me, how does a matchmaker work? So I'll give you a little quick overview.